Hello and welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider, as Alex said last time. So, the Sports Lab podcast, let's get it going here. Anyway, episode 17 here today. We're going to run through our week 7 NFL predictions. Of course, week 7's Thursday night football game between the Broncos and Saints took place last night, so we will recap that.
Can we even really
have a little
call
bit of
it a football game?
Yeah, right. We have a little bit of baseball to get to. Sad story on the Buffalo Sabres as of now, and then we'll talk about some college football as well. So let's get into this one here tonight. Alex, we're going to talk about that game from last night. If you can call it a game, as you said, 33-3, the Saints get shellacked at home, and Drew Brees, reunion, whatever, so upsetting for him to see. Came in the booth just for Javonte Williams to score his second touchdown of the night. A bad game from Spencer Rattler. He looked like Will Levis out there on the field last night, not playing his best ball. Had that interception return for a touchdown as well. So thank you, Spencer Rattler. It was caught. He caught that.
Yeah, but his arm wasn't going forward. It was considered a fumble.
Oh, whatever. Either way, ticky-tacky. It doesn't matter. Either way, it was returned for a touchdown. Thank you to Spencer Rattler. I have the Broncos defense this week.
Yeah,
22 fantasy points, so thank you so much for that.
I had the Broncos defense in 3 money leagues, so.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, though. I figured I'd pick him up, but at the same time, that was a bad game from Spencer Rattler. We get it, but obviously you got to work around these kinks. That was a very good Broncos defense. They've looked very solid all season. If there's one thing about the Broncos you can't really say is bad, it's going to be them. Obviously, Bo Nix is not exactly the greatest quarterback ever, but he's doing just enough to get them wins, and in this one, does just enough to really bomb this one for them. I can't believe that Bo Nix had that play in the second quarter or whatever where he missed a wide open Courtland Sutton and Denzel Mims downfield. So they had 2 different guys open and he misses both of them. But 33-3. Alex, what are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, yeah, it was a disgusting football game. The only thing that was nice about it was having Broncos defense. But I will give Spencer Rattler some credit. Their run game was non-existent. I mean, Alvin Kamara had 10 rushing yards and 7 carries. They were without Rashid Shaheed, who's out for the year, and Chris Olave with concussion. And they were without their best offensive lineman in Cesar Ruiz. I mean, against a really good Broncos
Eric
defense.
McCoy too.
Exactly. They were just, they're absolutely decimated with injuries right now. And he's a rookie making a second career ever start. So I will cut him some slack. Yes, he looked bad, but he didn't really have anything to work with. And then on the Broncos side, I mean, Javonte Williams looked really good. The rushing attack's looking really, really well right now. Bo Nix, I still don't have too much hope for him. I still don't think he's that good, but he's done enough. I mean, they're 4-3, so I'll give him a little bit of credit for not losing them these games. Excuse me. But the Saints, I don't know. I think because the Saints must be injured on defense too, because their run defense is also god-awful. You saw Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker run all over him last week, and this week Javonte Williams and Bo Nix run all over him. I mean, they both averaged more than 6 yards a carry. They just can't stop the run right now. And if you can't stop the run, it doesn't matter how good the rest of your defense is. They're just going to run it all up and down you. I mean, look at the Cowboys. The Cowboys have a really good defense, but they have a lot of really talented pieces on their defense, but their defense is awful because they have a non-existent run defense. If you can't stop the run, it does not matter. And the Saints can't stop the run right now, so they can't do anything on defense. They can't do anything on offense. The 4-13 prediction is looking better and better every single day. I mean, they're looking awful right now. Dennis Allen's about to get fired. Kudos to the Broncos. Still don't think they're that good. I think they're going to make – I had them going 2-15. Was clearly wrong about that, but I'm thinking maybe 7-10 now. Their schedule's got to get much harder after this. I mean,
it does. They play the Panthers this week, and then they got the Chiefs, and then the Ravens after that. Though
they have the Ravens, then the Chiefs.
Okay, bro.
After the Panthers, that's a win. So then they move to 5-3. Then they have Ravens, Chiefs, Falcons. That's 3 losses. Then they still also have the Bengals, the Chargers again, and the Browns and the Chiefs. So that's 6 losses right there. So, yeah, that's 8 and 9, and I think they'll probably drop a game to either the Raiders. Maybe by the time they play the Browns, Deshaun Watson's not quarterback there anymore, or the Colts.
No, I think they beat the Browns. They're 3-0 against the Browns in the last 4 years. So I'm
saying if Jameis Winston plays, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I can see that if Winston plays, I don't think they'll start him.
But I'm just saying, out of the Raiders, the Browns, and the Colts, I think they lose one of those games.
Oh, they definitely lose to the
So
Colts.
that's where they go to 7-10. So their schedule gets much tougher. They're not a playoff team by any means, but kudos to them for being 4-3, I guess.
Please beat the Chiefs once. That's all I care about. But
It's not going to happen, but
points. Yeah, right. But you hit on a couple points there. Obviously, Sean Payton took this one personal. Obviously, he came into this game saying, like, oh, it's just a game. It's just another opponent. You know, we're doing it for the team. But he came out, and this felt personal from the beginning as they went to work early and they got the job done on the road in New Orleans with a 33-3 win. So obviously not the greatest game. Also, Paulson Adebo with a shattered femur in this game. He's out for the season as well now, so that's upsetting for them.
Ouch.
Marshon Lattimore left the game with a hamstring injury, so two of their top corners,
and Cortland Sutton still couldn't get a receiving yard.
Yeah, right. Two of their top.
It's because I bet on them.
Right. But two of their top receivers in Olave and Shaheed, two of their top defensive backs, and like Adebo now and Lattimore. And on top of that, their offensive line, Cesar Ruiz and Eric McCoy, they're just gutted right now. And then obviously Derek Carr injured as well. Not sure that matters too much, but right now it's not looking good for the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, our record prediction looking good for a different reason than what we originally had thought, but still nonetheless. But we're going to move into the Sunday slate. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars, or should I say the London Jaguars, as they're playing their second game in a row in London against the New England Patriots. Drake May looked very good last week, and I will say that this is a game that feels like a situation where Drake May could win this one and get his first win as the starter. But what are your thoughts on this game? You're looking a little shocked here. What are your thoughts on this game?
The Jaguars are winning this game. I truly believe that. I understand. I mean, I think either way, if you're a Jaguars fan, you're going to win this week. Either you win the game or Doug Peterson gets fired. Like,
exactly.
There is no way that if they lose this game, that Press Taylor and Doug Peterson are employed on Monday. There's no way that happens unless Stephen Kahn and whoever the owner there is purposely trying to tank. That's the only way they should keep their job if they lose against the Patriots, because this Patriots team is bad. Drake may look good, but they don't have much talent there. The Jaguars, they're coached awfully, but they have just so much more talent. I mean, they got Christian Gonzalez, but besides that, that secondary is awful. They allow, their defense is pretty bad. So I expect this passing attack of T-Law to be pretty decent for the most part. I mean, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas Jr., Gabe Davis, Evan Ingram's back. It should be a pretty formidable passing attack. And as good as Drake May has looked, and the Jags defense is also bad, they do have a good pass rush, at least with Josh Hines, Allen, and Trayvon Walker. I expect them to get some pressure on Drake May, and without having great receivers, he'll probably have a couple of bad turnovers, and I think the Jags are going to pull away with this one 31-17. I think Drake May looks decent, but just without a lot of talent to
start the game.
What?
Yankees just got to hit to start the game. Lead off runners at first.
Who did? Oh, Yankees?
Yeah.
I'm going to put the game on real quick. So I'll be able to know that, but what do you
I'm
going
to kick it to myself, I guess, for this situation. I don't think that this game is going to be a blow-up by any means. The Jags have looked uninspiring all season long. Doug Peterson's proving why he's not the guy in Jacksonville. This is the game earlier in the morning. The only reason I really feel like this is a game they have to win is, one, Doug Peterson is on the hottest seat imaginable right now. And on top of that, obviously, the Jags don't have the jet lag from London because they stayed in there one extra week, so they do have that advantage as well going for them. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this one 24-17. I think it'll be a closer game than people expect. Obviously, you have a 31-17 ball game, but I think that this is one of those games that I could really see going either way. If the Patriots win this game, like you mentioned, obviously I don't think either Press Taylor or Doug Peterson have a job on the next Monday, realistically, but we'll see after this week. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Jacksonville to win this one. I trust them just enough to get it done. Drake May, I think, has another good game, dazzles a little bit, especially running away from the pocket here. I think he's going to be running for his life again. Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker get to him enough and get them to win in London as they move to 1-1 in London. And Doug Peterson keeps his job for the time being.
Until he probably loses next week.
Yeah, most likely. But we're going to move into the 1 o'clock window, starting off with potentially the game of the week, as many people see the 5-0 Minnesota Vikings coming off their bye week, taking on the 4-1 Lions for an NFC North division crown early in the season, I understand, but this is a chance to take the division lead. And if you're the Vikings, you've played near perfect football all season long, taking down contenders in the Texans and the Packers as well, and a bruised 49ers team if you want to throw them in there as well. Obviously, they are still the 49ers. So 3 teams right there that you've beaten out of your 5 games that have looked impressive on your resume. They've done a very good job.
I love you, Juan Soto.
I just
2
saw
run home
that.
runs.
The Yankees are going up 3-1 potentially here. It's my Mets. I can't see anything in the background.
Sorry.
Obviously, this is a important game for these 2 teams in the Vikings and the Lions. The Vikings playing near perfect football all season. This is a chance for the Lions to take the division crown already from them. What are your thoughts on this game? Who do you think gets it done? Do the Lions maintain their very good stretch, I guess, over these last few weeks, or do the Vikings continue to light up people's worlds?
I'm going to go with the Lions in this one to get the upset. I know I haven't been that high. Well, the Vikings are favored by 2.5 points here. So,
Whoa.
yeah, if the Lions win, it's an upset. I understand they just lost Aiden Hutchinson, and that might kill their defense. But if someone is going to get to this Vikings team, this Vikings defense, I'm going to think it's the Detroit Lions, because with as good as Brian Flores is, the way you defeat them is being able to establish a run game with a very good offensive line. And no one's really been able to do it so far. But I just think that the Lions are going to be able to do that. I mean, they have probably the best offensive line and the best running back duo in football. Ben Johnson's the best offensive coordinator in football. As I said a couple weeks ago, the top 2 coordinators in football are Brian Flores and Ben Johnson. So it'll be cool to see how they scheme up against each other, how they go to work. But the Lions' offense has just been absolutely electric these last couple of weeks. And really, when it comes down to it, in a shootout, I just trust Jared Goff more than Sam Darnold, because I think this is going to come down to who scores more points, who has the ball last. And even though I'm not the biggest Goff fan, I still think he is a little bit better than Sam Darnold. I just trust this Lions offense more than the Vikings, and that's really what it comes down to. I think the Lions win this game 27-24.
Yeah, I love that score prediction. Obviously, it's not the exact same, but I have 24-20 Detroit winning this one. I understand they're on the road in Minnesota, and a lot of people have said that they're going to probably split this season series with the Vikings, but I can't see that happening on the road in Minnesota to start this one off. Dan Campbell knows exactly what this game is going to mean for them in the long run of this season. And if you're asking me, this is one of those important games right here. And the one deciding factor that I've been noticing for myself, at least, is these last few weeks, these Vikings, yes, they've won these games, but what have they done in the second half? Nothing. They almost fumbled twice against the Jets and the Packers if it wasn't for costly turnovers by Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. It's very crucial for these 2 teams. And obviously in the situation right here, I trust the Lions to play a complete game. I trust them to do everything right in this one. It's going to come down to which team can play those full 4 quarters, and I don't think that the Vikings have showed that just yet. I think that they're going to have to work on it, and this is going to be a game they learn from. Give me the Detroit Lions to win on the road 24-20. As we're going to move into our next game here, the Bills and the Titans. Buffalo back at home after a win last week on the road in New York against the Jets. A trade for Amari Cooper to spark the offense. He will play in this game, probably a limited portion, but he will be active for the Buffalo Bills. And then they're taking on Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans, who are coming in off the bye week. Who do you have in this one? Do you have the Bills winning? Do you have the Titans winning? What are your thoughts?
That's a stupid question to ask. I understand why you had to ask it, but that's a stupid question. Bills by $1 billion, baby.
It's like Russell Westbrook in that interview. What?
Yeah. Of course I have the Bills. This is the healthiest they've been all year. There's only 3 people that have a game status this week. Darrington Evans, who doesn't really count. He's just on IR. And then it was Mike Williams and Ray Davis. So Mike Williams, who's not even usually active, and it's just an illness. Or Mike Edwards. My bad. And then Ray Davis, who suffered a calf injury in practice, so there's a chance that he might not play, which I guess may hurt the offense just like a teeny bit because of how good he was last week. But James Cook's practicing in full. Eddie's practicing in full. Teron's full. Bernard's full. The glove's off Allen's hand. Shakir's full. We have Amari Cooper. And the Titans are just a bad football team. So I think I'm going to go with 31-13 Bills in a blowout. I mean, I really think this Bills team, even with Amari Cooper in a limited fashion, I mean, the Titans, they just cut Jamal Adams. L'Jarius Seed's probably not going to play. I think they're without a couple of other starters too on that defense.
Without Tajay Spears in the passing game and
and I
rushing
think
game as well.
and then I think Tavondre Sweat's like I think he didn't practice or whatever. Like
He's going to
he
go.
might not play.
I'm pretty sure he'll play. I don't think it's
when
going to
I
matter
saw,
though.
well, anyways, that's a starter that's not 100%. But as I was saying, I just think that this Bills offense. I said after the Texans game, I'm like, if we could add Amari Cooper, I actually been saying it for a couple weeks, but after the Texans game, I've commented multiple times. I'm like, Shakir get healthy, add Amari Cooper, and our wide receiving core set. And we did that exactly. I mean, I think with Amari Cooper's ability to stretch the field and get open against man coverage, we can't have people running this cover run man they have been the last couple weeks. Instead, they're going to have to run that cover 2 shell. And our team is very good at getting open in those areas against the cover 2 shell. And if you run cover 2 against us, we'll just run it down your throat. We've been so good at running the ball that I just don't think it's going to matter. I think this Bills offense, it played really good last week against the Jets. There was some dumb penalties and 4 points missed by Bass that we could have had a 30 bomb pretty easily on a very stout Jets defense. Now with Amari Cooper and this Bills defense is fully healthy other than Vaughn, who will be back next week. And it's not because of injury, it's because of suspension. Either way, the Titans offense sucks. So I just think this at home, I just don't see this game being close at all.
Yeah, real quick, Mets just won 12-6, but I'm going to get into this Bills game as well. I think Bills win 28-14. I would not like to see Ed Oliver play this game. He has been dealing with a hamstring injury. And
he practiced in full. He's healthy.
No, I know he is, but at the same time, it just scares me a little bit. No, you don't understand. I mean, every single year it feels like we're healthiest at the worst times. We don't need to be healthy right now. This is the Titans team. I think we could win.
This is the perfect time to be healthy. I think this is the perfect time to get healthy because now we can have our team together, and these next 4 weeks we can go on a heater with a healthy team.
Depending on if everybody stays healthy, you gotta remember these.
But this is the time they get healthy. They get healthy now, and we can go on a heater for this Chiefs game. So I'm hoping. I think we go on a 4-game winning streak when the Chiefs come to town. So we'll be coming with the momentum when it really comes crucial. Because if we go Chiefs, Niners, Lions, we really need to be playing our best football then, and I think this is the perfect time to really get into that groove. So I'm happy that our entire team's fully healthy.
I understand that, but this is a game where I feel like without a couple key guys like Ed Oliver, without James Cook, I think we could still win. I think we're going to win this one.
I think that's a dumb mindset.
Huh?
It's the NFL. Even though teams are bad, you still, if your players are healthy, you play them. You don't sit players just because.
I'm not saying he's not like. He was literally a limited participant in 2 days of this 3 days.
And then was full though. So he's getting healthy.
If he was limited, healthy.
If he was limited, I would understand. If he was limited all week and he's questionable, I get it. But he practiced in full. They never have you practice in full unless you're completely healthy. They'll have you play when you're not completely healthy. They won't have you fully practice if you're not completely healthy. So the fact that he was able to, the same with James Cook, that the fact that they were able to log full participants makes me believe that they are truly fully healthy.
Right. But either way, I think the Bills win this one. 28-14 is my score prediction. I think we double them up in Buffalo. I think that it could very easily be a higher scoring game, but the Bills offense has kind of been a little sluggish these last couple of weeks. Obviously, against the Jets, didn't look that great. Tyler Bass missed the field goal and the extra point there. So I think that we have a little bit to work on. I think we'll still win this one convincingly. So give me the Buffalo Bills to win this one 28-14 as we get a second consecutive win. And then we're going to move into another game here between two teams that have been kind of interesting, obviously. The Colts and the Dolphins. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson is back in the lineup. Jonathan Taylor still out with an injury, so he won't play this week. But on the opposite side, Tua is 1 week closer to coming back. However, this will not be the week he does. Do the Dolphins win without Tua, or do the Colts keep it going at home?
Yeah, I have the Colts winning this one 24-17. This Dolphins offense without Tua, mostly because the quarterbacks they've been sending out are god-awful. Tyler Huntley is bad. He's really bad, especially in a system like this. He would be good he was good backup for Lamar because he was a similar type player. Obviously not nearly as good, but he is not good for a system like this where you need to be able to throw the ball accurately and quickly. That's not his strength. His strength is running around and making plays. And I just think that he's awful. Even though this Colts defense is bad, I don't see them being able to get much. And I think Anthony Richard coming back might be a little bit rusty. And this Dolphins defense has been decent without Jonathan Taylor. That's going to hurt their run game, and that's usually where you beat the Dolphins is through the run, through the ground, not through the air. But I just think without Tua, this team isn't that great, and I think the Colts pull this one out. I think Anthony Richardson does enough to lead them to victory.
Yeah, I think for a lot of the same reasons, I'm going to also go with the Indianapolis Colts here. I think that Richardson is going to look a little sluggish coming back from that injury. I'm not fully convinced that he's going to have a good game. But I think, again, like you mentioned, he does just enough to get them the job done. I think 21-13 is a fair score for this one. I just don't think Huntley's going to be able to – I think these two teams – I don't think there's going to be as much offense as people are thinking, because the way you beat the Dolphins is through the run and the way you beat the Colts is through the pass, and those are the two weaknesses on the injury side of things that you can't really work for right now, because you have Tua out, so you're not going to be able to pass the ball too well against the Colts defensive secondary, which is their weakness. And then on the opposite side, the rush defense for the Dolphins is their weakness, and without Jonathan Taylor, how well are you going to run the ball there? So I do think that this one's going to be a little bit lower scoring than people are indicating. I think 21-13 is a fair score line. I think that the Colts get it done at home, and they keep their stretch going as they start to get into some very difficult games in the few weeks coming up with the Bills and Chiefs on their schedule. So we'll see how they can do. But we're going to move into a potential shootout coming up next with two birds, the Falcons and the Seahawks. Seahawks enter this game on a 3-game losing streak, proving everybody why no one should have thought they were good in the first place. They have 3 wins against 3 teams that were pretty bad: the Patriots, the Broncos, and lastly, the Dolphins without Tua. And then they've lost 3 games in a row now with the Giants, the 49ers, and the game against the Lions as well. So not a great season for them just yet. And on the other side, you got the Atlanta Falcons, who have 2 wins in a row. They're looking very good right now. They're going to continue to get better. Actually, 3 wins, I believe, in a row after starting the season 1-2 with that Chiefs loss on Sunday night. So they have the exact opposite side here. 3-game winning streak, 3-game losing streak. Do those streaks snap, or do the Falcons continue their run?
The Falcons continue their run in a high-scoring game. I hate that in the league I have to start the Seahawks defense because it's either them or the Cowboys. Whoa. It's kind of rough. Yeah, I thought both defenses were going to be better this year. And it's in a 14-man where every person has to have 2 defenses. So like there's only 4 defenses available, and they're all like god awful. So I don't feel like touching any of them. So yeah, I have to start the Seahawks. So yeah, I see that. So yeah, it's rough, but I think there's going to be a lot of points scored here. I'm going to go with the Falcons win 34-27. I think both ground games are going to be absolutely electric. Maybe a little biased because I have a lot of Bijan and Kenny Walker stock, but I do also just love them as players. I wanted the Bills to draft Kenny Walker in 2022. He's one of my favorite players coming out of college. I think he is absolutely electric with the ball in his hands. He's the only reason why the Seahawks don't have the worst rushing attack in the NFL, because that offensive line is disgustingly bad. But I think he's electric. They're just want to try and get him the ball. And then Bijan's electric. Algier's a good change of pace guy. And then Kirk Tober, I mean, he's absolutely cooking in that pass game. Kyle Pitts is looking better. Drake London's looking like a legit wide receiver 1. Darnell Mooney's looking like a wide receiver 2. Zach Robinson's really dialing up some nice plays to really open this offense up. They're really rolling, and I think they do enough to come away with this win.
Yeah, I'm going to lean the exact same way again. I think the Falcons take this one home. At home, 31-21. I think the Seahawks offense has been the lone bright spot for that team. Obviously, Tariq Woolen ruled out again this week. Without him in the secondary, I don't think that they're going to be able to stop that Falcons passing attack. It's going to work very well for the running game for Bijan as well. The only thing going to keep them in this game is going to be the passing attack and rushing attack for that offense. I'm not sure how much they'll use him with Ryan Grubb still calling plays, obviously, but I do think
they'll throw the ball to him a lot, though. They'll get it. He's had 16 catches in 2 games.
Oh yeah, so I think that they'll do fine on the offensive side of the ball. I think that defense is just going to break a little bit too much in this game and give me the Seahawks to lose their 4th straight game after starting the year 3-0. 31-21 Falcons win. Moving into another potential game of the week, Stroud and the Texans travel to Green Bay to take on Jordan Love and the Packers. Both teams looking very good this season. Obviously, Green Bay with a 4-2 record, looking to stay alive in what has been the best division in football in that NFC North. And for the Houston Texans, they look to strengthen their AFC South lead over the Indianapolis Colts, who we project to get a win this week. So what are your thoughts on this game? Who do you think wins this one? 2 teams that are sleeper teams to go to the Super Bowl this year. Packers at home. Who gets it done?
The Packers. Yeah, I think the Packers win this game. I'm also mad at the Texans and DeMeco Ryans because he said that Jordan Love was going to be the best quarterback he faced this year, yet he's facing the three best quarterbacks in the league, and Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, and Josh Allen. But Jordan Love's the best, so maybe I think DeMeco Ryans might be like on drugs right now, so I don't know if he's going to be fully ready for the game. If he truly believes Jordan Love's the best quarterback, if you think Jordan Love is better than Josh Lamar or Pat Mahomes, you are on drugs. You legitimately are on drugs. You can't be that can't be a sober thought if you know anything about football.
Well,
maybe he's either blowing smoke
Mahomes,
to the media.
He's got 6 touchdowns to 6 picks right now.
Yeah, but Mahomes is still better than Jordan Love.
No, true, but still.
He's either blowing smoke to the media or he's on crystal meth right now. Either way, that was blasphemy. But all joking aside, I think that the Packers are the better team here. With the Texans offense, even though it looked really good against the Patriots, that's the Patriots, I think missing Nico is really going to hurt them. Jaire Alexander, I think, is going to be able to have a really good game against one of the two. And then that safety duo, Xavier McKinney's leading the league in picks, and Evan Williams as a rookie has looked like an absolute stud. This defense has been pretty decent for the most part this year. I understand Joe Mixon back, but I just think that there's just too much there. The reason that they were in the Texans defense, the reason they were able to do so good against the Bills offense is we just didn't have enough receiving talent or depth. That's the Packer specialty, is you can't really put focus on one guy because there's so many guys that can be you. Romeo Dobbs has had his weeks. Jaden Reed's had his week. Wicks has had his weeks. Tucker Kraft's had his weeks. Josh Jacobs has been decent so far. Emmanuel Wilson's been a good change of pace. They just have so many weapons, and they're at home. Lambeau Field is not a place where many teams win besides the Packers. Like, they have one of the best home field advantages in the league, and I think they do come away with this win.
Yeah, I'm going to lean the exact same way once again. I have the Packers winning a close one, 27-24. Could come down right to the end. My real big deciding factor was the home field advantage and then Nico Collins not playing in this one as well. Those are the two big things for the Texans that I think aren't in their favor. I think that this game is going to come down to which team can keep it clean on the stat sheet there, which team doesn't force the turnover, like which team doesn't have turnovers. And if you're looking at this game statistically, Xavier McKinney is averaging the most interceptions in the league right now, as you mentioned. He's looked phenomenal to start the season with his new team from the New York Giants now to the Green Bay Packers. I think he's going to continue that in this game. I think that they're going to force 1 or 2 turnovers in this game. I think that's going to be the deciding factor for C.J. Stroud and the Texans. It's going to cost them this one. Also, I feel like there's not as much pressure for the Houston Texans to win this football game as there is for the Packers. The Packers really need to keep that tight race with the NFC North alive after losing to the Vikings already. They can't afford to fall down another game here. And as for the Texans, if they drop this one, boo-hoo. You're still first in the AFC South after this week, even if the Colts win. And on top of that, you're only losing to an NFC rival, so it's not even like a tiebreaker situation at the end of the season can screw you here. I feel like this game's just so important for them, and they're going to get the job done at home. So give me the Packers to win this one 27-24.
Oh, yeah, I never gave my prediction. I had 24-21 Packers. I think this is going to be a little bit lower scoring.
All right. Moving into our next game, probably one of the worst games of the week. Browns and Bengals. Nick Chubb set to play his first game since that gruesome injury against Pittsburgh last season. On the opposite side, you have the Bengals, who are finally maybe starting to put it together. Who knows, really? I mean, they did struggle a lot against that Giants defense on Sunday night, but they did come away with a win that they needed. Wow, they beat the Giants and the Panthers. Look at the Bengals; they're coming back, you know. But they got the Browns this week, so that schedule could continue here. Do the Browns upset in Nick Chubb's return to the field, or do the Bengals come away with a much-needed win?
The Bengals win this game 21-13. As long as Massage Watson's taking snaps, Diddy Watson, whatever you want to call him, the Browns' offense is going to be absolutely awful. Nick Chubb's going to come back, but who knows how good he's going to look. I hope he plays decent. I have to start him in a league because Pacheco's still injured, and Roschon's on a bye, and my RB depth is awful. But I hope he maybe were able to get in like a 1 or 2 yard touchdown, like their only touchdown. That's kind of my hope. Or maybe he just looks really good. I mean, he has come back from knee injuries before. Granted, that was years ago at Georgia. And he was the best pure runner in the league before his injury. So this Bengals run defense isn't that good, but this Browns offense is also, or off the line, is also extremely banged up, and they can't throw the ball at all, especially now that they lost Amari Cooper. So the Bengals are just probably going to stack the box, would be my guess. And then I don't have too much trust in this Bengals offense to score a lot. against the Browns defense that's for the most part pretty decent. You're right. They struggled against the Giants defense, and then they struggle in general against the Browns defense. So I think that the Browns defense will keep them in this game. But yeah, it's Joe Burrow versus the worst quarterback in the league.
Yeah, I again will agree with you here. I think the Browns have the Bengals number in most aspects. Every single season, it feels like the Browns are just the better team than the Bengals in regard to their matchups against each other. But it is Deshaun Watson going up against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think that they're eventually going to put it together, and I think this is the week they could. I think that this is going to be a lower scoring game as well. 20-10 is my score prediction for this game. I think Nick Chubb gets it going, has a solid game, but as soon as they learn that this is a one-dimensional offense and they stack the box, there's not going to be much else the Browns can do to save their season. This is a game that they're going to fall again. A lot of people are clamoring for Stefanski to go. I don't think that's the case. It's got to be Watson before him in my
It won't be, though.
But I'm going to go ahead.
Unfortunately, it won't be.
Yeah, no. But I'm going to go ahead and pick the Bengals as well. So give me 20-10 Cincinnati, finally getting back at the Browns, who have had their number in recent years. And then moving into another division rivalry matchup, the NFC East division showdown between the New York Giants and Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles as he returns to MetLife Stadium. He said he was not expecting to get booed. I'm sure that he's going to. Now that he said that, there's a 90% chance. But Giants and Eagles have struggled these last few weeks, almost lost to the Browns last week in a close game. If it wasn't for, in my opinion, a pretty bad coaching call on that fourth down. I think you trust the offense too much in that situation. You got to go for that fourth down instead of kicking the field goal there. You got to just go for the fourth and goal. But they chose to kick the field goal, and it cost them the game. Either way, what are your thoughts on this week's game, Eagles-Giants in MetLife? Who gets it done?
This is also a gross game, and I could really easily see the Giants winning this game because this screams upset, but I'm still going to go with the Eagles. They just have too much talent, and Daniel Jones is still the Giants quarterback. So because of that, even though I don't trust basically anything else about this team, Austin Wells home run. I love you. Anyways, I have the Eagles winning this game. We'll go 21-17 in a close game. Also, I think it's BS if you're a Giants fan and you sue Saquon, or if you boo Saquon, that you suck, because it's not his fault that they valued Daniel Jones more than him. They wouldn't pay him because they wanted to pay Daniel Jones. So that's a Giants failure of an organization. Saquon wanted to stay there. They just weren't going to pay him. So if you boo him, you suck.
Right, exactly. For my side of things, I think this is screaming upset as well. I think this is a game that the Giants could win. Obviously, Malik Neighbors coming back from injury. The Giants have a lot to play for still in this game. Nick Sirianni has not proven that he's a competent head coach in this league these last few weeks. And I think that this is a game where the Giants could do it, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm not going to have the balls of steel of Dan Campbell. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win this one. 24-20, I think, is a fair score. Could be a little higher scoring than that potentially. I think that that's really the threshold, though, is 24-20. I think the Eagles escape this game of the win. I think the Giants have a costly turnover near the end of the game that loses them this game. The Eagles can run the clock out. But again, with the Barkley thing, I do agree with you there. I think Saquon, obviously, he wanted to stay in New York. It's not his fault that the GM is just an idiot, man. But at the same time, it
sucks because he was a bean guy.
Yeah, I know. It was Jim.
He was in Buffalo.
Yeah. That's exactly why he's not anymore. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, our drafts got better once he left, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you're right.
2022, 2023, and 2024 have looked like some of our better drafts. 2019 through 2021 did not.
No. 2019. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but Brandon Beane wanted DK Metcalf in the second round in 2019, and Joe Sheen's the one that pulled the trigger on Cody Ford. So we have him to thank for that.
I wanted A.J. Brown.
Ooh. Either way, though. I mean, DK Metcalf versus But
Cody Ford.
Moving into our next
my least favorite Bills player of all time. I think that's my least favorite. Yes, I hate him with a burning passion.
Fair enough.
He is a certified bum.
Oh, yes, most definitely. We're going to move into our next game, another one of those ugly games. The Rams and the Raiders, both teams pretty beat up, especially on the offensive side of the ball for the Rams. Nakua is
coming back.
Kupp is going to be back this week. Steve Avila
What is the offensive line? Okay, is the entire offensive line still injured, or is it just Avila?
Yeah, Noteboom and Avila are both out. Jonah Jackson was questionable. I think he'll play, but either way,
Well, at
that's
least it's
still
one
two
guy
your
back.
guys. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
this
if
is
they
a
get him
game.
and cutback, that is huge. I
It
think
is
the
nice
Rams
to
blow the Raiders out, though. I really think so. I think Cup coming back to this offense. Stafford's kept this offense to at least be not god awful without their entire offensive line and their only two good receivers. And now you get Cooper Cup back, who week 1 was cooking and week 2 was playing a decent game before he got injured against this beat up Raiders defense, who has been, I mean, they just allowed how many points to the Steelers offense? And I think the Rams offense with Stafford throwing to Cup is much better than that. And then I just think Aiden O'Connell, that offense is not good. This team is just really bad. Christian Wilkins is on IR. Max Crosby is basically all you got there. Robert Spillane's decent, but give me the Rams 31-17, I guess. I'll give them 17 just because the Rams defense isn't that good. But I think this is more of like a 31-10 where the Raiders get a garbage touchdown at the end and make it a little bit closer. I think Stafford absolutely cooks this week. Maybe I'm biased because I'm starting him over AR in 2 leagues, but who knows?
Yeah, I have the exact same kind of pattern, I guess. I have the Rams winning this one 28-17. I think Kupp's return is going to spark something for that offense. And then like a defensive side of the ball, they're not the best team on defense, obviously, but it is the Raiders offense they're going against. I can't expect the Raiders to score 30 points on this Rams defense. It's not going to happen. Not even 20 points in this one. So give me 17 as well. I think that's a very fair score. I do think that the Rams get it done though on home turf. Obviously, this is basically their season here. They have to win this game, much like the Jags and a few other teams in the league. It's a must-win game, and obviously the team's only going to get healthier from here. This is the game where
their
if you win
schedule's
this
only
one,
going to
you
get
can,
tougher.
right. But at the same time, though, you can potentially spark something like they did last season. So give me the Rams to win this one at home.
I still have the Rams making the playoffs.
Ooh, I don't think they can. You got the Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bucks, and Falcons.
No, they already played the
Three of
Lions.
those.
Oh,
No, I know.
You mean
Saying three of those teams have to make a wild card.
maybe the Bucks don't.
I mean that. Yeah, the Bucks.
Maybe the Falcons don't. I think, or also how safe for the Vikings with how they've looked in these last. They started 5-0 in 2016 and went 8-8. So I think out of all those wins you said, I think the only locks are the Lions and the Packers.
Yeah, that's fair. For this game though, I do think that another aspect for the Rams Raiders is going to be coaching. Like, who do you trust more, Antonio Pierce or Sean McVay? Don't get me wrong, Antonio Pierce is not a bad coach, but it's Sean McVay you're going against. This is a game they have to win. He's going to get it done. So moving into the next game, another one of those games where I don't think that there's going to be much differentiation on our end. Commanders and the Panthers in Washington. So we literally have to go to the worst venue to watch the worst team. What are your thoughts on this game?
So the Falcons beat the Panthers 38-20 last week, and the Commanders are going to beat the Panthers 38-20 this week. I have the exact same score. I think Andy Dalton's at least competent enough to score some points against not a great
secondary.
Against not a great Commanders defense. I don't know if Jonathan Brooks is back. I don't think he's going to probably play this week. I'm assuming next week they'll probably have him in. But Chuba Hubbard's been really good. Deontay Johnson's been really good. And Andy Dalton's been competent enough where I think they can at least score some points, but that defense is so god-awfully bad. I mean, it's pretty disgusting against a Commanders defense or Commanders offense that's looked pretty good so far this year. I mean, Jane Daniels and the Terry McLaurin connection's really heating up these last couple weeks. Brian Robinson Jr. should be back. With Austin Eckler's the change of pace, they should be able to run it all over the Panthers. And I expect this to be a very similar game to the Falcons-Panthers game last week, where they just run the ball all over them and then make throws when needed and just score at will.
Yeah, I expect this game to be a Commanders win as well, but I have a different analogy with a different game that happened this season, and that's the Commanders-Cardinals game, where the Cardinals just got blown out of the water from moment one until the end of the football game. I think this game is going to be a lot like that game. It's probably going to be 31-7, 31-10 maybe. I think that the Falcons really showed what they could do last week against the Panthers in the second half. They kind of fumbled a little bit, but still, I think the Commanders are going to do the same thing where they're going to start off hot. They're going to kind of just run the ball in the second half just to get the game over with. And the Panthers are going to get a garbage time touchdown. So give me 31-20 in favor of the Commanders to get the job done. I think that they cook in this one as well. I think that this is going to be one for Jaden Daniels. And I think Brian Robinson, if he comes back to the lineup, this is a very good game for him as well. One of the worst rush defenses in the league. So give me the Commanders to really just dominate from start to finish here. A garbage time touchdown from the Panthers to give them this win. Obviously, we were saying the same thing for that Cardinals game where obviously it's a suspect secondary and you're going up against Marvin Harrison Jr. That's why a lot of people picked the Cardinals to beat the Commanders at that time. Also, the Commanders weren't the Commanders that we see today yet, but I mean, I think that this is a very similar game, and I think that's going to be what really happens in this one. So give me the Commanders as well, as maybe one of these next few games will disagree, but as of now, we have not. This next game coming up, I doubt we will either, as we have the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Santa Clara to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Ricky Pearsall set to make his NFL debut after finally being inactive.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really nice for him. I wanted to throw that out there, obviously, with the situation that happened to him.
Yeah,
so
that's actually pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad I traded away
off the NFTI or whatever list. So he's going to be out there for this game. Obviously, that's a big boost for the 49ers, but I can't go against the Kansas City Chiefs here. So what are your thoughts on this one before I get into mine?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but I think the reason why we pick so many similar is just because we both cook on our picks. I mean, I didn't mention this earlier, but I am currently 57-35 on the year with my picks, as I went 13-1 last week. But yeah, and another actual upset, because the Niners are favored by 1.5. I have the Chiefs winning this game 24-20. I think this Chiefs defense is going to be able to hold their own against that Niners rushing attack. I mean, the Chiefs have the best rush defense in the league because they have probably the best run defending linebackers in the league with Nick Bolton and Leo Chanel, and obviously Chris Jones up front. And then their secondary, because of how good their rush defense is, can play a little bit more aggressively because they don't have to load the box to be able to get stops. They can sit in that 4-2 nickel type defense and really focus more on the pass game. And Trent McDuffie obviously still a stud. And I think what it is just that system produces corners. Because, I mean, you see L'Jarius Sneed just left, and he's been statistically one of the worst corners in the league for this year for the Titans. And he was like the best corner in the league last year. I think something about that system. I mean,
and then Watson, overall, some 7th-round rookie, Jalen Watson, he looked insane.
Yeah, exactly. Trent McDuffie's been he was a slot corner last year, moved outside, hasn't missed a beat. And I think that the Niners are too talented where the Chiefs really shut them out. I think they're still going to be able to get their own at some point. I mean,
I don't even know if it's
Kyle Shanahan's such a good play caller. Yeah, Kyle Shanahan's such a good play caller that he's going to be able to get his own. They're going to be able to move the ball somewhat. It's too much talent there. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go against Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be able to move the
underdog
ball.
Now. That's crazy.
That run defense. Or that rushing offense for the Chiefs is getting better with Kareem Hunt getting established against the Saints. I think he continues to play pretty well. And then that connection with Travis Kelce's heating up, and I think they're just going to rely on those two guys. Juju looked really good against the Saints. I think they're going to rely on him. Xavier Worthy's probably not going to do anything because he sucks. I will continue to say that I'm on the Xavier Worthy hate train, and I'm proudly on it. But I just wanted to throw that out there. But I do have the Chiefs winning 23-20.
Yeah, like you mentioned with your picks, you said you're 57-35, right? Like, yeah. I'm 61-31 this season, so I've been absolutely insane.
There's no way I thought we were only like 1 or 2 off.
My week 1 slate, I was like near perfect, dude.
I was 13-3. I've had 2
I only
weeks
got
of 13
one game
plus.
wrong. Yeah, I only got one game wrong, and that was the Broncos upsetting the Seahawks.
No, you went 13-3 week 1.
Oh wait, no,
you did. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had the Bengals beating the Patriots and then the Steelers, Falcons beating the Steelers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. So you're 59-33 then, or still 61-31?
I mean, I have it written down on my thing. I'm 61-31. I'll check for next week. I'll make sure I know for next week. But other than that, I think that this is another one we're going to agree on. Obviously, I think the Chiefs win. Obviously, if they're underdogs, they're probably winning. At the same time, though, this is the Kansas City Chiefs that we've seen all season long. There's been games where they haven't been expected to win. There's been games where they shouldn't have won, and they still won. Good teams find ways to win the games that are ugly, as this one's back at the wall, and it's caught.
Yeah, he caught it. Yeah, you must be a little bit behind me. I already saw that. I made like a little fist bump.
It's because I switched over to the Mets game to watch the Mets game, so I didn't have to keep turning around. But and then after the game ended, I flipped it over to this, and it's loading a little slower because I have the computer on at the same time. But anyway, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs win this one as well. Give me 27-21 in this one. I think that this is going to be a close game, but the Chiefs have found ways to win games that they shouldn't have won. Obviously, like I just mentioned, good teams find ways to win games they shouldn't win. And this is a game that I think they are going to win regardless of what happens in the game. I think this is just one of those games. The 49ers haven't looked like themselves. They don't have McCaffrey back. Yes, I understand you got Ricky Pearsall. That's a cool bonus added to that passing game, but without CMC, there's no way I can pick the 49ers to win this football game. If you're talking about just pure offensive teams in the league, the 49ers have one of the best when they're on their, like when they have everybody healthy. But without CMC, that offense has not looked the same. And I don't think they will in this one either against the tough Kansas City defense. So give me a 27-21 game. A lot of people have said this could be a blowout. I don't think that a game between the Chiefs, 49ers, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Chiefs, whoever else you want to throw in there, Ravens, Chiefs, all those games, I don't think those games can ever be a blowout. I think they're almost always going to go down to the wire, and I think that's the case in this one as well. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs to win a close one on the road in Santa Clara as Kyle Shanahan again falls to the Kansas City Chiefs. Moving into our final three games, we'll start with the Sunday Night Football game. Davante Adams making his New York Jets debut, and Russell Wilson in line to start. Thank you, George Pickens, for clarifying that for us. The Pittsburgh Steelers are at home for this one. Another Sunday night game at home. They beat the Cowboys at home in the last Sunday night game. Lost to the Cowboys at home, in their last home game. Do they win this time around, or did the Jets finally right the ship with Davante Adams?
I think the Jets win this game. I mean, the Jets almost beat the Bills last week, and the Bills are a way better team than the Steelers. Now they add Davante Adams. That offense without Nathaniel Hackett calling plays looked actually quite good. With I think just the loss of Nathaniel Hackett is actually a plus because he is such an idiot. Where now you have Todd Downing, who I don't even think is a great offensive coordinator. He's just not a complete moron.
Down syndrome.
Yeah. And now you have Rodgers being able to throw to his buddy Davante Adams, his buddy Allen Lazard, and Garrett Wilson, who's had a great connection with this year. It's a three-headed monster there. Breece Hall looked really good last week. That run offense looked like pretty good. And then obviously this defense, I don't think Russell Wilson's that good of a defense, though. Yeah, I get it, but the Bills did stop the Texans. They've had their times. Yeah, I get it, but they were better than in weeks past. They were able to run the ball effectively. Yes, I understand our run defense is never usually that great, but
also didn't have Oliver.
They were still able to do it. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due there. And then on the Steelers side of the ball, I just think Russell Wilson sucks. This Jets secondary these cornerback room. I don't know if DJ Reed's playing. I haven't checked the Jets injury report. I know he was either did not practice or limited or something like that. I think he's questionable. So even without him, I mean, you have Sauce on George Pickens, and then, I mean, you don't really have to cover anyone else. You can put Quincy Williams or C.J. Mosley and Pat Freiermuth, and he's got no one to throw to. And then the Steelers' rush offense hasn't looked that great. And now you lose Justin Fields, it's going to look even worse. I think Russell Wilson's a little bit better of a passer than Justin Fields, but a worse quarterback. And at the end of the day, I think the Steelers are a very fraudulent 4-2 team. And I think the Jets do come away with this win.
Yeah, I feel like every single season we say the exact same thing.
I'll go 21-17. 21-17 Jets. My bad. I didn't say this prediction.
I have 21-17 Jets as well. I have the Jets doing just enough in this one. I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers made a big mistake at quarterback. If you've noticed the trend for these New York Jets, they don't do very well against scrambling quarterbacks. Even Bo Nix, who only had, I think, 60 rushing yards or something like that in the game that he played against them, he was finding ways to get plays as well. And it was unconvincing if you're asking me. I don't know if this is the week that Russell Wilson should get the start. I feel like this is one of those games that's going to be very difficult, but I think that the Jets are going to do just enough on the road to win this one. Davante Adams has a solid debut with the New York Jets. But
they're already polling him. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think we say the exact same thing every single season about those Pittsburgh Steelers, though. They always have a good record. They always keep doing stuff that's good. And then they have a good record, but you just never know with the Pittsburgh Steelers if they're actually a good team or a bad team.
Wait, did you pick the Jets? I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
Yeah, I picked exact same score, exact same team. So, again, we picked the same team. We only have two games
haven't picked one different game yet, right?
No, we have not, and I don't think we will potentially. But
Probably
moving
not with the last
into
two
the
games.
Monday night games, we have the Ravens and the Bucks. Derrick Henry and Baltimore just continue to keep going head to head with these good teams, but they're finding ways to win. They beat the Commanders last week 30-23. This time they've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they did beat the Lions, so they have a decent win this season. They kept it close with Atlanta as well. Bucks definitely need this one, but who wins this one in Tampa Bay? Do the Bucks get it done, or do the Baltimore Ravens keep their hot streak rolling?
I think the Ravens keep this hot streak rolling 34-31. I think there's going to be a lot of points on this board. I could see the Bucks winning this game with how deadly that passing attack has been against the Ravens secondary, which has looked pretty bad so far this year. But I just think that the Bucks defense is bad. I mean, they allowed Spencer Rattler to drop 27 on them, and we saw Spencer Rattler this last week. So he
That's
obviously
with a couple interceptions from Rattler and the fumble.
exactly. This Bucks defense just is not that good. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries, and now they have to go against this Ravens offense that has just been firing in all cylinders right now. It's not the playoffs, so Lamar's actually a good quarterback, and give me the Ravens.
Had to throw it out there.
Yes, I hate Lamar Jackson fans, and I hate Baltimore Ravens fans. They're my least favorite fan base in the league. So if I can take any jab at Lamar just because of that, I'm going to, even though I think he's an elite quarterback.
I think that my least favorite fans are the Dolphins just because they talk so much crap.
Do you go on Twitter?
I do, but yeah.
Okay, that's the reason why. Because I don't know
I
if you've
swear to
seen
you,
Ravens,
every time you talk to a Ravens fan, 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson. Okay, bro.
they have like no IQ. They're like, oh, Allen couldn't survive without a wide receiver one, but Lamar did his entire career. Lamar has had All-Pro Mark Andrews his entire career. What do you mean he's had no one to throw to? Josh legitimately had no Pro Bowl, no All-Pro level guys to throw to so far this year. He had All-Pro Mark Andrews.
Josh Allen's top tight end for his first 3 years of his career was Dawson Knox.
No, I'm just talking about like everyone's saying, oh, without Diggs, what he's supposed to do? Lamar was able to do this entire career without bad receivers when he had Mark Andrews, who is a first-team All-Pro.
Yeah, right. You're true. Yeah. Also, they have Isaiah Likely too, who's looked very good.
I'm
Flowers
just saying,
now, and Bateman.
I'm not even talking about right now. I'm talking about 2019, 2020, 2021, when Lamar was not a good passer, and everyone's like, "Oh, he has no one to throw to." And then these Ravens fans were like, "Well, Lamar was able to win an MVP and do good, and we didn't have to cry about needing a receiver when he didn't have a wide receiver one. When that's all they did was cry about wanting a receiver." But they had All-Pro Mark Andrews. I'm just saying, like they were saying, Allen couldn't get it done without a wide receiver one, yet Lamar could. Lamar had Mark Andrews his entire career. And also, Allen has 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions through 6 games. I mean, if that's a bad year, then Allen's an absolute god. If that's a bad year,
right?
That's insane. That's on pay. I mean, that's like 38 touchdowns and 0 interceptions or something. 30. It's like something like that. Just I don't know the exact number, but somewhere in that range. That would be an absolute insane season, and people are shitting on him. Makes no sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, the passing yards are down this year. His completion percentage is down as well. But, I mean, obviously the turnovers are the most important thing in
QBR.
football.
He's ranked first in QBR. Exactly. We're a more run-heavy offense. He's being smarter with the football, and our offense is scoring 27 points a game, so our offense hasn't taken a dip. And, yeah, that's without good receivers. He's still having a great year with his number one receiver being a slot guy, Khalil Shakir, who I like and is good, but not like great, and then Kincaid being all right. Like it's a couple of all right guys, and then Matt Collins and rookie Keon Coleman are his two best outside receivers, and he still had a very, very solid year. Yes, his numbers aren't the best, but they're still very, very good with not a lot of help, and that's what I'm saying. That's where like when the Ravens were making that comparison with Lamar not having a lot of help, he had more help every year of his career than Josh Allen had this year before the Amari trade.
That is fair. For this, where we're Ravens bang.
Ravens. Sorry, I just got a tangent because that shit gets me fired up. It pisses me off.
No, it's fair. I'm gonna go with the Ravens and Bucks game. Obviously, I think the Ravens win this one 28-20. I've seen a lot of people having high scoring games, and I think this game will be high scoring, just not super, super high scoring. I feel like the defenses get it going, and the one thing that really scares me is I don't know if Vita Vea is playing or not for the Bucks. Because if he's not playing, then Derrick Henry's going to go nuts again. Because that's And right now, he is the engine behind that Ravens offense. I don't care how good Lamar's looked and things of that nature. Derrick Henry will be the engine of this offense for the majority of this season. And I know that and I understand that, but this is a big game for them. This is a game they have to get done. I think they do get it done too. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ravens in this one, 28-20. I think they do just enough as we keep it rolling here.
Were we?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Pittsburgh. No, not the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, my gosh.
Baltimore
I'm going to go ahead
Ravens.
and pick the Ravens to win this one. Yeah, I think that they do just enough in this one to get them the job done. I think the Bucs are a stingy team. I think they'll be right there till the end. I think that they've kept it close in every single game this season except for that Broncos loss, which was just crazy. But I do think that they get it done, though. Baltimore does. I think even though Lamar probably doesn't have as good of a game as Mayfield, in my opinion, I think that Derrick Henry's going to just take the show away from them. I think that they win this one on Monday night. As we move into the second Monday night game, our last chance to disagree on a selection. This is the only one I disagreed with
Probably
my buddy
not.
Owen this week. He picked the Cardinals, and I'm picking the San Diego No, I'm kidding. Picking the LA Chargers to win this
So
one.
am I.
I think that they win this one convincingly. I think it's 27-20 is a fair score, though. I'm going to go ahead and say that J.K. Dobbins has a big game here. I think this is one of those ones where they just match up so well against them. If you look at this Charger team, what do they not have? A competent receiver, number one, really. They're not going to need one against Max Melton and Garrett Williams. I don't care that I love Garrett Williams. He went to Syracuse. I understand. Awesome player at Syracuse as well. But in the NFL, he's not a starting caliber corner. I don't think that he'll have that great of a game in this one. I don't think any of the Cardinals DBs do. I think Max Melton's not looking too bad out of Rutgers, but I don't think that they're going to be able to compete. This is one of those teams where if you want to beat them, you have to run the ball on them. And I think they can do just that. That's literally their entire offense is designed around that with Jim Harbaugh. They do just enough in that respect and win this one 27-20. As I kick it to you for your last chance.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm going to go with the Chargers 24-13. I just don't see the Cardinals being able to move the ball that much against this Chargers defense that has been absolutely
especially
insane
with how
this
bad
year.
of an offensive line they have going against.
Yeah, this Chargers defense has been really good, and Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh have really been cooking up on that side of the ball. So, and then Herbert does enough, and that run game is very good where they are able to win a lot of these games, and I think they continue to. The Cardinals also against non-NFC West teams have been god-awful this year. They have their 2 wins came against them, and then basically every other game they've gotten blown out other than week 1 against the Bills, where for the last
it was a new look Bills team.
The last 35 to 40 minutes of that game, they were getting dominated. They just started out the first 20 minutes against a completely brand new Bills team. They were able to do all right. They were able to take the lead, and then after that, the Bills dominated.
You got to remember that they had the kick return touchdown, and they wouldn't have been close if it wasn't for that kick return.
Exactly.
So, I agree with that. As we perfect week on both of our ends, nobody is going to disagree.
I'm going to go 15-0 this week.
Yeah, I hope so.
I also have a quick upset. I think the bye week defeats the Dallas Cowboys.
Right? Maybe. I do think that there's a chance.
Bye week runs for 250 yards and wins 35-17 as Dak throws another 3 interceptions to no one.
They put Cooper Rush in the game and throw an interception as well. So
yeah.
I think that college football is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about here. Week 8 of college football coming up. We have a big slate this week. Obviously, 2 marquee matchups of top 11 teams, if you want to get even more specific.
This last couple weeks of college football have been crazy.
Oh, I know. I'm excited for this week. So we're going to start it off with Indiana, Nebraska. Nice, easy transition here. Indiana unbeaten for the first time in a long time, and Nebraska is a 5-1 record. They've looked very good as well. Their only loss coming to Illinois in overtime, which is ironically the only game I've watched Nebraska play this season is the game they lost. So awesome for them.
I watched the Colorado game too.
Oh, I didn't watch that one. I was not watching Sanders. Just I don't know.
No, you don't like Colorado?
I don't mind. I like the logo. Obviously, buffaloes are my favorite animal. Big shock, I know, but I do think that
mine are gorillas.
Fair enough. That was so right.
Or golden retrievers. I do love golden retrievers. They're the greatest.
I love
ever.
dogs, bro. I love dogs.
Yeah. Let me get Cash in here real quick. To most of the people probably watching this are my friends, so you all know who Cash is, the goat dog.
The goat dog. Yes.
Yes.
Indiana versus Nebraska, though. Who do you have winning this one? I have a 31-27 Indiana victory. I think they do just enough to win this one and stay unbeaten. Do you have a different score or a different team?
So even though we haven't been keeping track of like record picks for college football because we haven't been able to make picks every week, but if we did, this would be the first time we've differed on picks this week. I'm picking Nebraska to get the upset. It was so tough, but I wanted to pick an upset, and Nebraska really should have beat Illinois. If you watched that game in that fourth quarter, they basically lost that game. They outplayed Illinois and lost that game with just missed field goal and just stupid
Patrick
penalties.
Mahomes. Dylan Raiola he just had a couple sacks in the game.
It was like a dumb turnover, a dumb penalty, and a missed field goal that like killed 3 drives, and they would have won that game. So and Indiana, yes, they're 6-0, but they haven't really beaten anyone that good. I mean, I don't think they played a ranked team yet. I'm
not quite sure.
I want to search up Indiana's record. It's probably not going to change my opinion, but I still think I like Nebraska this year. Purdue's kicking the shit out of, or Oregon's kicking the shit out of Purdue. Just
I was going to say Purdue's winning.
Yeah, no, it's Oregon's up 20-0 in 3 minutes into the second.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Indiana, they've played FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, and Northwestern. And all of those teams are god-awful. Yes,
Northwestern's, I think, the best out of all of them, and they're not good.
Yeah, they won by 17 against them. They won against Maryland by 14. Every game is bad. They've dominated all their games, but they haven't played anyone at all. What's the Northwestern?
Indiana and Army are the only 2 teams this season to not trail at all in a game.
Yeah, I mean Maryland. I guess they're 3. They're
3-3.
Yeah, they're 3-3, but they just lost to Northwestern. So yeah, I mean, yeah, they've taken care of business, but against a bunch of like bad schools, Nebraska's actually a good
almost
team.
Like the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I understand Nebraska's like what they've been lately is just choke artists. They just always find ways to lose games. But I think Colorado's actually been a pretty decent team this year, and they were able to win that. And I think Nebraska, they actually have better wins under their belt. I understand they have the loss, but that game they should have won. I just think they're overall the better team. And yeah, give me Nebraska for the upset.
Yeah, I like that. I will stick with Indiana, though. I think that they get it done until they prove me wrong. Inevitably, it's going to happen. I view this game like the Giants-Seahawks game, where I feel like the Seahawks.
Why is Jose Trevino so bad at throwing out runners? What was that double clutch there?
Yeah, I saw that.
Why he's stealing? Throw it.
Right, but moving into the next game, we have Illinois, the 22nd ranked team in the country, taking on Michigan, the 24th ranked team in the country. A lot of people have been back and forth on this one. I feel like this is the one with a lot of people. I mean, obviously Texas, Georgia, which we'll get to, is probably another one where a lot of people disagree. But this is another one I've seen a lot of people disagree on. I have Illinois winning 21-17. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Michigan's defense does a lot right. I just can't trust them with their quarterback situation, man. I don't expect them to play terrible, but I don't expect them to play great. So give me Illinois to win this one 21-17 at home too. So I think they do just enough here. If this was in the big house, we're talking about a very different outcome, in my opinion.
When in doubt, you got to trust the orgy. Give me Alex Orgy and the Michigan Wolverines to win this game.
Get out.
Nah, got to trust the orgy.
I'll finish the episode with somebody else.
No, but I just think Michigan just got the better talent. I mean, they got the star players with Mason Graham and Will Johnson, and they do have a very good rushing attack. I understand this; they had basically nothing in the passing game, but with Orgy, that is legitimately his name, Alex Orgy.
I know.
They'll be at that running. That mean they did beat USC, who I think, even though they're 3-3, are a pretty decent team. I do think that Michigan is a decent team. I understand they got swamped by Texas, but Texas is that good. I just don't like Illinois that much. They should have lost to Nebraska. I understand they won that game.
That one hit down.
Yeah, if only if Jose Trevino could have thrown out a runner, then that would have never happened. But it's just, or that's actually Austin Wells. My bad. I still love you, Austin Wells. Unless Trevino isn't, it kind of looked like it was Trevino throwing, but Austin Wells hit a home run, so I can't.
Yeah, I was going to say you can't.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, wait, that
His
looks
run
like
canceled out.
Trevino. No, there's this. I can.
It's Wells.
Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of looks like Trevino for the catch. But anyways, back to college football. Yeah, give me Michigan to win this game. We'll go 20-14.
Okay, fair enough. We're gonna move into our next game here. Another one that could be interesting. LSU and Arkansas. Arkansas still unranked, even though they have beaten Tennessee this season in an upset. LSU has been a little suspect. They've had a couple games where they had to make comeback wins against South Carolina and Ole Miss, but they do have a very good team. They are ranked 8th in the country. Do you see another upset for Arkansas, or does LSU take care of business on the road?
See, I have been like anti LSU this year. I've picked them to lose a couple of games.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
looks
they were going
pretty
to get
bad.
upset by. Yeah, they just keep. And I'm going to pick them to win this game, but I could really. I was trying to make like a college football bet for this weekend just for $5 in some of the bigger games, just so like a little more added a little more rooting interest just for the fun of it. And I was just trying to think. I had like the two big games, and then I think I had another game that I liked, and then I was like just trying to find a fourth game. And I looked over LSU a couple times. I'm like, I'm not trusting my bet on them to not get upset here, just because like they barely beat South Carolina, they barely beat Ole Miss, they lost to USC, like they just haven't looked that great. And where they are 8th ranked because they only have the one loss, and they keep finding ways to win. But I just don't trust them that much. Where I could see Arkansas winning this game, but at the end of the day, it is Arkansas. I think they're 4-2. They have had a couple of losses. I don't think they're that great of a team, even though they did get the upset against Tennessee. I just think that's more against Tennessee not being great the last couple of weeks. But anyways, give me LSU.
Yeah, I have the exact same thing here. Give me LSU 35-20. Their offense has looked great. That defense has been suspect at times.
I'll go 24-20 LSU.
All right. I've seen Harold Perkins as like a top draft pick for the last couple of seasons or whatever now, but this year he really hasn't showed why he's one of those top draft picks. It almost feels like an Isaiah Simmons situation, which is disgusting to say, but I mean, he plays linebacker, he can play safety, he's versatile, he can move down and down.
I thought Perkins was an on ball. I thought he was like a pass rusher type.
No, he is, but at the same time, he's flexible. He can move back, and so he moves all over the field all the time.
Kind of like a Micah Parsons.
Yeah, but I mean, this almost feels like an Isaiah Simmons thing, like how bad he's kind of been playing, especially at the start of the season. But I can't bet them to lose this one. I feel like Arkansas reminds me a lot of South Carolina, where they're like one of those gritty teams, the teams that can get an upset every once in a while. But it feels like they're due for one upset a season, but I don't think that they can get more than one, if that makes sense. I feel like they get the one upset. Teams are like, okay, we have to take these guys seriously, and they're going to come out and take them seriously in this one. They're going to get it done by double digits, 35-20. This is where LSU starts to really pick it up in their season of years past. I think this is where they pick it up here. So give me LSU to win this one convincingly, 35-20. Moving into our next game, the last one before we get into the heavy hitters, Stanford unranked and SMU, the 21 ranked team in the country, the Mustangs. Do you have the Mustangs winning on the road, or do the Cardinal get it done at home? Big game for them. Who gets it done?
Give me SMU. I mean, I don't think Stanford's that good of a team. They beat Syracuse, but like they're 2-4, 2-3. Yeah, you're welcome. They're 2-4, 2-3. They're not a great team. So I just think SMU is able to win this game. I don't really know much about SMU if I'm being honest, but since they're ranked and Stanford
I don't
isn't that good. Yeah, let's go SMU. But you forgot about my school. Let me talk about before we get in the big hitters. Let me talk about my Gators first. They take on Kentucky this week. Both teams are 3-3. DJ Lagway has to make his second start of the year since Graham Mertz is out for the year with a torn ACL. So I feel for him. He said he's still going to stay around the team as like a mentor / kind of like almost a coach, because his college collegiate football career is done, because his career in general is over. Well, yeah, he was like a fifth. Yeah, he was like a 5th or 6th year senior or whatever. Like this was his last year of eligibility, and now he's out. So now we get to see DJ Lagway, the number 3 ranked in the country last year. He's the best recruit the Gators have got since Tim Tebow. He's looked great in some moments. He's looked bad in some moments. He's looked like a true freshman. So let's see if he can take the reins. If we want to make a bowl game this year, this is the game we need to win, because we only played 2 more unranked teams this year. One of them being Florida. No, we already played Mississippi State and we beat them.
Oh, okay.
It's this game against Kentucky, and then we play Florida State, which is basically a free win because they're awful. In between that, it goes, I think it's like Georgia.
That's a loss.
Ole Miss. Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, LSU. But at least they get Ole Miss and LSU at home. Those are both games they could get off. They could pull an
I
upset
don't
either
think
of
they
those
beat
games.
Ole Miss because Ole Miss is in an urgency mode right now. One of the teams that we'll get to Ole Miss.
I get that, but Kentucky did beat them, and Kentucky went to Ole Miss and beat them. Florida has them in the swamp, so they have that going for them. And if Lagway looks good, obviously they're not touching Texas or Georgia. Maybe they could keep it close against Georgia because Georgia.
I think if they win one, it's LSU. I think LSU hasn't looked good.
Yeah, LSU or Ole Miss, I think, is the game that they win if they are to win one of them. And then I think they can keep it kind of close against Georgia. They're fucked against Texas. They're going to lose by 30 or 40. I don't think they beat Georgia. I think they can kind of keep it close because Georgia only beat at Mississippi State by 10 points. Florida destroyed Mississippi State. I understand you can't really compare like that, but Georgia hasn't looked great. They're definitely a team you can keep it close with. It being in a neutral site in Jacksonville, where they always play it every year. But that's just me getting ahead of myself with Florida. But this is a game they need to win, and I think if you're Billy E. Napier, you need to win this game. If you don't make a bowl game, you're definitely getting fired. I think if you get to 6-6, we'll beat Kentucky, beat Florida State, and get one of those upsets. Maybe there's a way you can be like, all right, our schedule is just so insane this year. Our starting quarterback got injured, yada yada yada. There's a way he might be able to save his job. So I think the Sabres come out with some urgency in this game, and I think they take care of business.
The Sabres?
Yeah, the Sabres.
Oh, geez.
The Florida Sabres.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have so many. Sorry,
the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres.
The depressing Sabres just are always in my head, making me want to kill myself.
Oh, Jesus.
But give me the Gators to win 27-24.
Well, no one ever said this was a kids channel. And anyway, we're going to move into our next game here. Sorry, I haven't said anything about Stanford SMU yet. I have SMU winning 28-21. I think Stanford's been one of those teams that's been in every single game they've played in. I think they'll be there till the end. I think SMU is a solid team. They're not the greatest team on planet Earth, but I think they'll do just enough to get the job done and stay ranked for this week. Moving into the next game, we're going to finally get into the big games. The last two we'll talk about from college football. We have Tennessee hosting Alabama in an SEC showdown. Nico Iamaleava is the rookie freshman quarterback for Tennessee. Does he get a big win against Kalen DeBoer in Alabama, or do the Crimson Tide get a much-needed win on the road?
Yeah, Tennessee has not looked that great. I mean, they lost to Arkansas. They went to overtime with Florida at home, and Florida, as much as I love them, hasn't been a great team so far this year. I mean, I understand South Carolina almost just beat Alabama, but Alabama has the big win over Georgia. Yes, Tennessee beat Oklahoma, but Oklahoma hasn't really shown they're all that. They just got blown the doors off by Texas. So I'm gonna give Alabama to win this game, even though it's in Tennessee, right? I'm pretty sure it's at Neyland Stadium. Yes, even though it is in Tennessee, they do have that advantage. I'm gonna go with Bama to win this game. We'll go 27-24.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say the same score as me. I have 27-20 Alabama getting the job done. This is one of those games where I feel like it could be a blowout.
Skill, I love you.
It's just because Nico Iamaleava, he's a freshman quarterback, and you can't hate on him too much. But these last couple weeks, they haven't looked that great. Obviously, they've fallen from where they were to start the year after that loss from Arkansas. A lot of things have really been questioned for Tennessee. Same thing could be said about Alabama after losing to Vanderbilt. But this is a game where you have to just go out here, and this is a game that very much so could decide which one of these teams makes the college football playoff this year. And which team are you going to trust more in a do-or-die situation? Alabama.
Especially since Bama has to play Texas too.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I'm saying is they have to win this game if they want to make the playoff, because if they lose to them, to Tennessee this week, and then Texas later on, it's over. It's done. And so this is a game, I'm sorry, but Tennessee, I think that you have a very good quarterback. I think that you will have a solid season, but this is unfortunate for you guys. You haven't looked good these last couple weeks. You're going up against Kalen DeBoer and Jalen Milroe, and they do just enough to get it done. This is one of those games that could be a blowout, but it's an SEC showdown. I think those games are never really blowouts. I mean, if there was going to be a blowout in the SEC, it was Alabama versus Georgia when Alabama was killing them, and then Georgia comes back. I feel like it's just inevitable that all these games in the SEC are going to be close. Give me Bama to win this one 27-20, though. as we move into the final game of the week, Texas versus Georgia, 1 versus 5. Who gets it done? It's in the Battle of the Alamo. It's in Texas. Do you think Texas gets it done?
Give me them Longhorns, baby. Give me Quinn Ewers. Give me Steve Sarkisian. Fuck the Georgia Bulldogs. They have not looked good these last couple weeks. I mean, they were getting the doors blown off them by Bama. Then they make it close just for Carson Beck to choke. They should have lost Kentucky. They beat them by a point. They beat Mississippi State by only 10 points, and Mississippi State is awful. I mean, they've just not been they have not looked good at all this year. I understand, like, they've only had one loss. They are winning a lot of these games. They did beat up Clemson at the beginning of the year, and Clemson's looked really good since. But this defense just isn't as dominant. Carson Beck just hasn't looked that good this year. I mean, losing Brock Bowers in the draft, losing Ladd McConkey in the draft has really hurt him. I mean, he's showing that he is not a first-round pick quarterback now that he doesn't have these first-round pick level receivers to throw to. It's just not been that good for him. And I just think Texas overall this year is just so deep. I mean, you got Quinn Ewers playing really good. He's really taken a step because last year I just did not think he was a good quarterback. He's looked a lot better this year. Obviously, you got like Kelvin Banks, Isaiah Bond to throw to. I mean, they've got a lot of first-round talent on that offense.
Jaden Blue, the running back there, too. He's looked solid.
The Texas is a running back factory. They just keep bringing out good running backs. And I also, on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, they just held Oklahoma to 3 points. They held Michigan to like 10. And those are two ranked teams that they absolutely dominated defensively. Like, this defense has been playing lights out. They're ready for this SEC style football. They're playing like a true SEC team, dominating the line of scrimmage. And yeah, I think Texas at home, I think they win this game 31-20.
Oh, 2-score win. I'm going to disagree here. I was very, very close to picking Texas, and for one main reason. Carson Beck on the road has been one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. And I have to throw that out there first because I want to get the negative out before I get to the positives. Beck hasn't looked good. The team hasn't looked good these last couple weeks, but you have Kirby Smart. You have a team right now in Georgia that really needs this win if they want to stay in the college football playoff race.
Now, if they lose this, if they lose this game and then win out, they make the college football playoff.
Exactly, but the thing is they still have a couple teams on their schedule that are eking for me. I think this is a game that they have to try and win at all costs. They have a lot more urgency than Texas does coming into this game. If Texas loses this game, it's to Georgia. They'll fall a couple spots probably, but they're not out of the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, but they could be out of the chance of the SEC championship. I don't know exactly how the tiebreaker would work, but
it'd be yeah, you're right because
LSU would be undefeated in SEC play, and then Georgia would also have but then Bama, and it would be really weird. But like with one loss, who knows if that gets them in with tiebreakers and shit. So I think Texas also has the urgency if they want to stay that one. They want a top 4 bye. They want to be in the SEC championship game because you gotta make your championship game if you want that top 4 bye.
Right, exactly. But here's the deal, though. I'm going to reference one game here, and that's Ole Miss versus South Carolina last week. A lot of people have said South Carolina is one of those teams that can upset any given week. They almost beat LSU. They've had a couple big games. They almost upset Alabama, too, if it wasn't for the 2-point conversion failure. But they lost 27-3 last week to Ole Miss. Ole Miss went off on them. Ole Miss understood that they needed to win that game. And I feel like that's what Georgia's at right now. If you have to give me a quarterback in this game, it's Quinn Ewers over Carson Beck all day, every day. But if you have to go coach-wise, it's Kirby Smart. And I feel like in this game, it's going to have to be Kirby Smart that gets them the job done. And I think he does. I think it's going to be a very good game. Honestly, this is the game of the year, in my opinion. I'll throw that out there right now. I think this is going to be an amazing
over Oregon, Ohio State last week?
Over, yeah. I think this final score is 35-27 in favor of Texas's defense. Not Texas. I mean, Georgia. I think Georgia wins. I think Texas gets the ball at the end, has a chance, but they have a turnover or something. I think this game is going to be very close. It's going to come right down to the end. Maybe even 35-33, where they get the touchdown and they can't get the 2 points similar to Alabama and South Carolina. I think this has been an amazing week of football. This will be, I should say. But I have to go with Georgia to win this game. I think it's very close. I've been back and forth all week on this one. Actually, when I was talking to my buddy, I told him I thought Texas was going to win. And now I've taken a little bit of a deeper dive into this one. And I think that the team that does need this more is Georgia. And I think they do get it done on the road in Texas, despite a lot of different opinions in this game. But that's going to do it for our college football segment. We're going to move into one of our last two segments, the Buffalo Sabres segment. Obviously, I feel like I'm going to throw up just saying the team name. But this has not been the start to the season the Sabres have wanted. They are 1-4-1. They had a tough loss against Pittsburgh in overtime, 6-5, and then they fall last night 6-4 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. They do play tomorrow night against the Blackhawks, so a chance to redeem themselves if that's even possible for the Buffalo Sabres at this point. Their power play has been the worst in the league. I don't care that there's technically a team ranked lower than them right now in the power play game.
They've allowed more goals. They've allowed more goals in the power play than they've scored.
Exactly.
They've allowed 2 goals in the power play. They've scored 0.
Exactly. And that should be everything you have to say about the Buffalo Sabres power play this season. They've been one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the league, by the way. Statistically, we were right up there in the league in 5-on-5 play. Yeah, but it's the penalty kills. It's the power plays that are really killing us right now. Those special teams plays.
Our goalies disappeared the last 2 weeks or last 2 games. Our goalies have been non-existent.
Yeah,
UPL hasn't had a good start this year, and Devin Levi had. I mean, his first 2 starts were good, and then
against LA, man.
What?
Against LA?
UPL.
Yeah, he only gave up one goal until the final 3 minutes. He gave up that second goal to Kopitar.
Yeah, okay, so I'll give you that he's had 1 decent start and then 2 bad starts. Levi's had definitely 2 good starts and then 1 really bad start. But either way, our goaltending has been not good this year, which is surprising because last year we were one of the best goalie teams in the league.
Oh, yeah. On top of that, though, for Buffalo, not the game they wanted last night. I mean, on our other show, we picked both games for the Sabres and for the Penguins and Blue Jackets games. I picked the Sabres to win 3-2 in overtime. We ended up losing 6-5 in overtime. And then you picked the Sabres to win, I think it was 4-1, and they lost 6-4 last night. So not a good look for the Buffalo Sabres. Obviously, they still have the Blackhawks coming up. But then the Stars. Do you think we're really going to beat the Stars? I mean, at this point, who knows? It's Buffalo.
That's the most Sabres thing ever. We'll lose to Chicago and beat Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. That's normally how it goes for us. I think that we lose to Dallas, though.
Yeah, me too. I think we also beat Chicago.
What your thoughts are on Chicago and then Dallas's games. Go ahead and give me your thoughts.
Well, first, I just want to give my thoughts on the season so far. Right. So far, I mean, the Ryan McLeod deal, everyone was shitting on Kevin Adams. That has looked really, really good so far this year. He has been really good. I understand Matthew Savoy is supposed to be one of our to be able to like Savoy being one of our better one of our best prospects, and we only got basically his ceiling's a 3rd-line center. That is annoying. Like, I understand, but he has played really, really well. He's been great defensively. He brings that speed. He has 2 goals now. The first line's been absolutely cooking. I mean, Peterka, Tuck, Thompson, Tuck has 7 points in 6 games. Thompson has I think 4 goals in 6 games. Peterka, he missed a couple games, and then he came back and he was this close away from having a hat trick against the Penguins. It just nipped off the post, or he would have had a hattie. He was using his speed to get breakaways. He was cooking. That first line's been great. That 3rd line's been great. The 4th line hasn't really been much, but hasn't been awful. But that 2nd line has been god-awfully horrendous. I mean, you just saw Jack Wynn get healthy scratch. He was many people thought was going to take his step. Zach Benson hit. I don't know if Zach Benson is still injured because he has 0 points. Dylan Cousins has been god-awful. That contract is starting to look like one of the worst in the league. I mean, for me personally, what I think we need to do, trade Jack Wynn and picks to go and get a center that's available, and then move Cousins to wing.
Yes.
Cousins is not a center. I think he can be a very good wing. I mean, every time when he went over to the World Cup or whatever in the summer, he played wing and he was cooking. Before we drafted him, whenever he's on like Team USA for World Cups or whatever, they always have him at a wing, and he cooks because he is a good goal scorer. But he is not a good center. He just is not good with the having to be the engine, the one that's divvying up the puck because he's not a good stick handler. He's
He's
got
not
a good shot.
playmaker.
He's not a good playmaker. He is a winger because he is a goal scorer. And until we move him there, he is just going to be a bad contract. And then defensively, Dahlin, I know what Dahlin is. He's been great defensively. Like, I understand he will. I'm not worried about him one bit. Whatever, that he only has 1 point or 2 points.
He's also a defenseman.
Yeah, he's been great defensively, but I do want to see more production out of him. He did just get signed a big deal. And I want to see more offense. With the great defense that he's been, I want to see more offensive production. Bowen Byram, Owen Power, both have looked great so far this year. Oh, I forgot to mention, on that third line, we have McLeod cooking, Jordan Greenway cooking. Like, those two lines.
You haven't mentioned Samuelson yet.
I was just about to get the defense. Samuelson absolutely fucking blows. Yoki Hari sucks. Please get them off my team. They're bad.
We still have
They're
him
bad.
for 7 more years. I want to remind you.
That contract is looking god awful. He is
7
so
more
bad.
years at
Yeah,
4.28
Henry
million.
Yokihari. Henry Yokihari, maybe we can trade him. I know he's a free agent this year. Whatever. I don't care. He's not good enough for me to pronounce his name right. Connor Clifton has looked better, though. I will give him that. But if we get, what I would like to see is Dahlin and Byram on the first line, and then Bryson or Clifton on the second line Clifton or Bryson on the first line with Dahlin, and then Byram and Power to stay together as that second pairing.
Yes.
They've been really good. And then you just trust Dahlin to be good enough to overtake that. Or at the trade deadline, we have $7 million in cap space. Want to know what that means? We should be able to go get a second line center and a defenseman, because at the deadline or whenever we trade for these guys, their cap hit's not going to be as big as it quote unquote looks on paper because it's during the season. The other team's already paid them. And by having this cap space, it means we don't have to give up as much to make it salary retained. Or if we need to, they don't have to retain as much salary. Or even if we want them to, we have the assets to be able to do it with, Yuri Kulich, don't trade him. He's looked great. But Helenis, Ostlund, Sandberg.
Oh, not Ostlund.
Where's Austin? Where's Noah Austin
sliding into this game? We need a playmaker.
Where is he sliding in?
What is this team lack?
Where is Noah Austin sliding into this team if we trade for a second line center? Please give me a spot where he slides in on this top 9.
Okay, you ready? We move McLeod to second line center, put Cousins at wing, trade Jack Quinn, and then put him as the third line center next season.
No, Ryan McLeod is a third line center. I do not want Ryan McLeod's look great. I do not want him on my top 6. He is a perfect third line center. We trade Quinn to get a second line center, then move Cousins to wing. Maybe we bring Ostlund up. We don't have room for him right now. I'm perfectly fine with trading him to get a stud defenseman.
If anything, trade Krebs.
Trade Krebs, trade Quinn, trade Helenis, trade Noah Ostlund, I don't give a shit. Make some trades, Kevin Adams. Quit being a pussy. Just call up you're probably buddies with Brandon Bean, being the other Buffalo GM and owned under the same people. You guys got to be at least probably have each other's phone numbers. Call them up and ask them what it's like to have a set of nuts, because Brandon Bean realized we had a weakness, realized we're a competitive team, and went out and made the move. But Kevin Adams, the best player Kevin Adams has gotten since trading away Jack Eichel is Ryan McLeod.
Yeah.
And Bowen Byram. Those are like the only 2 decent players we've gotten. And the Byram one, we had to give up a good player in Casey Middlestat. Like, he just make a move. Like in the offseason, whatever. If you didn't want to make it, you want to save this cap space for trades during the season. Don't totally agree, but there wasn't a lot out there to trade for, so I get it. You rebuilt the bottom 6 because it has looked really good. I'll give you credit for that. But you have to make a big move at some point. If we go through another rebuild, this fan base they're continuing to have hope, but we're going to give up eventually. You can't just continue to have incompetence over incompetence over incompetence. If we really have a third rebuild in this playoff drought, it is going to get really grim for the Sabres. People are eventually going to give up hope if this is the result, which is frustrating because we have the talent. I think we have the decent coaching. We just can't. We're the Sabres and can't seem to put it together. It's just frustrating. And also, I did mention, but Levi and UPL, we need you guys to be better. You guys are supposed to be the strongest unit on our team. And we need, if you guys do not play well, it doesn't matter how the rest of the team plays, we're not going to go far. We need you guys to play better. And I think they will, but man, Levi's been better than UPL this year, but since with that bad game against Columbus, not by much.
Yeah, right. On my
I didn't even
side of
go
it-
over the Blackhawks or
Oh,
the
go
Stars
ahead.
game.
No, you're good.
I think we beat Chicago. Maybe I'm just biased. Maybe I'm just desperate. This is I understand we're only 6 games in. This is a must-win game. We need to win this game. We can't go to 1-5-1 going to take on what looks like the best team in hockey in the Dallas Stars. That is just, if we fall to 1-6-1, that is just that is bad. Especially, it's not like if Edmonton last year they had a slow start, but everyone's like, all right, they have McDavid, they have Draisaitl, they're gonna figure it out. We don't have a McDavid or a Draisaitl where we can start out slow and just figure it out. We can't start that much in a hole. We're not talented enough to go on a 16-game win streak and pull ourselves out like that. We need to beat Chicago and then maybe try and find a way to take Dallas to overtime. I don't think we will, but I think the Sabres will play with a sense of urgency after this last game, and I think whoever's in that will play better. And Columbus has looked pretty decent this year, so maybe they're just a better team than I thought. But either way, I have the Sabres winning 4-2 against Chicago and then losing 3-1 against Dallas.
Very similar for me. I guess I'll start with the overall breakdown. Cousins needs to be better. I don't care if he's got to go to wing or if he's just got to figure it out at center. We have to get more production from that top 6 in his aspect, at least. Peterka and Thompson have looked every bit as advertised. Peterka even more than advertised coming into the season. After that injury, he's looked insane. On top of that, though, Byram's looked all right with power. I've really liked that second line there. I think Dahlin needs his partner like on that top line, and we could be very good on defense. I don't care if our third line's really all that bad. As long as we have Clifton on that third line with either Yoki Haru or Bryson, I think we'd be fine.
I would say Bryson. If we can try and
I
flip
think that we
Yoki
really
Haru,
need to go get a D-man to play with Dahlin, though. I think that's the biggest need right now.
I think if we can flip like Yoki Haru and then maybe like an Anton Sandberg in like a second to go and get someone.
Yeah, that'd be fair.
That I would like that.
I
don't know who's available. But I feel like that could be a package where we could
then you could put
someone competent.
Samuelson. I mean, they're probably going to have to start Samuelson because of his contract. He can't go to the AHL, or else we wouldn't have.
We can healthy scratch him. Put him as the 7th guy. I'd rather have Clifton and Bryson be that third pair. They showed last year Clifton was bad last year, but Bryson showed to be. I like Bryson. I think he's quite underrated. He gives a lot of effort there in defense. So I'd like him.
He reminds me a lot of Will
be
Borden, if you remember him before he went to Seattle.
Not.
Yeah, he was a decent defenseman for us as well. Brings a little offensive upside as well, a little juice to that third line, which I like to see from Bryson. So I think that'll be fine. As a third pair of defensemen in high school and stuff with the offensive power that he has, I feel like that's just something you have to get used to.
In high school?
Yeah, and in high school, that's what I did. I was a third pair.
That's where you did. I didn't hear you say that. I was like, what?
I was a third pair offensive defenseman in high school. But I do think that this is just a thing that we have to get used to. We have to get going a little bit more often. And I feel like we're going to get there eventually. I feel like the one thing that we do have to upgrade, though, is that outside pair with Dahlin there. Obviously, that'll help the goaltending stability as well with Luukkonen and Levi getting another defensive piece to help in front of them. I think that's very big for us as well, especially when Dahlin tries to take the charge on offense, because I understand – I think my biggest pet peeve being a defenseman is all the outside noise from everybody telling me that if I'm not scoring points, I'm not productive. Dahlin has done everything he can this season for this team that he needs to do. He is playing.
No, I'm not. I just want to see more point total out of him. I was not saying anything bad towards Dahlin.
No, I know. I'm just saying I've seen so many hate comments on Dahlin this season. It's pissing me off because
drunk Dahlin.
As a defenseman in high school, as a defenseman just in general, that is my biggest pet peeve, is seeing people shit on defensemen because we don't have the points. I understand Dahlin started the year off last year. I think he had 5 or 6 games in a row with a goal, which is like a Sabres record or whatever. I understand that.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, whatever. But he started the season hot in the last couple seasons. You know, he's gotten all those goals. You have to let him play defense and let the offense come to him. That's exactly what every coach will ever in the league will always tell you, is just let the defensive flow and let the offense come to you from after that. That's all you have to worry about if you're Dahlin right now, and he's doing exactly what he can. He's done just enough. In my opinion, he's looked phenomenal. I'm excited to see what he can do as the season continues. If we need him in an offensive moment, I understand he's got to step up as the captain of this team. your job is to be as flexible as possible in any situation. But as of right now, we're only a few games into the season. I'm not freaking out like everybody else is. And then on top of that, the defense is not the biggest worry right now. The goaltending is kind of scaring me. Luukkonen hasn't looked as good as he did last year. And then obviously Levi had the first 2 games that were very good, but that third game last night, I don't know what he was seeing. He was not tracking the puck well. He was not finding these plays right. You could argue there was a couple chances where they could have scored even more goals because Levi was just incompetent in the net. There was a good chance that there could have been a couple other ones that they scored. Luckily for us, it did not end up being the case. And the last thing I want to touch on before we move on is for the forwards specifically, even just the team in general, I guess, because I guess this can attribute to the defense as well. We are learning something new this year with Lindy Ruff. We're learning to have that physical toughness. We're learning to be a very tough team in front of the net.
League in hits right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the one thing here that I have to really stress is with that forward core. I saw a couple goals, obviously against in the Pittsburgh game. We saw a couple goals where they scored where they were just like gritty goals for Pittsburgh. The Malkin goal where he fell down and smacks it in from his knees and scores. The Crosby goal that he scores and the Crosby assist or whatever. Those kinds of plays like that. We're a young team that's learning a different style, a different brand of hockey. And this is a moment right here where we're going to have these tough stretches at the beginning of the season. I just want to see us gradually get better at it because right now we're playing exactly how we should in front of the net. We're forcing puck battles. We're very gritty, tiring teams out, playing very physical against these teams, which I love to see. But we have to be able to finish those plays at the same time. Like that Malkin goal is unacceptable. He's on his fucking knees and he smacks it into the goal. How are you? There's 3 people there. And then the goalie. How are you letting that happen? I don't care that he's a seasoned veteran. I don't care how good he's been these last couple games. You cannot fucking let that happen. And in a situation like this for the Sabres, I'm not as frustrated as a lot of people have been about that, but I want to throw that out there because obviously we're learning that new style of hockey and we're going to have those bumps in the road to start the season. As long as we gradually get better, I won't be as mad as I am currently because if this keeps going for the whole season, you're going to see a completely different Thomas. Like this hair is going to be gone by the end of the season if Kevyn Adams keeps this shit up. Like this is crazy, bro. This is just not the season for this to happen. This is the season everyone was saying we should turn it around. There's a chance we can, and we haven't yet. But to get into the games themselves, I also have Buffalo beating 4-2 Chicago. On the road in Chicago, I think we do get it done. We'll head back home with those 2 points secured, take on Dallas, and I think we lose 3-0. I think the third goal, though, I want to mention is an empty net goal. I think Buffalo plays a very solid game. It's just one of those games of hockey, and obviously I'm a defenseman, so this is biased, but I love those games of hockey where it's 0-0 going into the third period. And
I don't. Being honest, I like goals.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like everybody's like that, but here's the thing, though. I love those games because it's showing the fundamentals in hockey. It's showing that both teams are doing what they're supposed to. They're dumping, they're chasing correctly, they're forechecking well, they're back checking well, they're doing everything right. And basically a 0-0 hockey
points.
game. A 0-0 hockey game is the teams playing to their absolute best. And I think that's what this game is going to be. I think both teams are going to come out and have a 2-3, maybe even 3/4 of this game where it's going to be 0-0. For the majority of this one. And then Dallas is going to get a couple goals in the third. The empty net goal solidifies their 3-0 win. Ottinger gets it done in net with a shutout victory. I think Buffalo is going to look solid in this game. They're going to show what they can do, but it's one of those moments that Buffalo has to get something going against Chicago or else it feels almost like it's over before it starts. So, sorry. With that being said, I think that we'll move into the MLB. Before we get to
not honestly much to talk about, but
yeah, right. We'll only talk for a couple minutes here. The Mets played today, obviously winning 12-6. Alonso with a 3-run homer, 432 feet into the moon. It felt like on that play. Obviously, you had Marte with a 2-run double. Alvarez had a base hit to score. Marte from third, who stole after Will Smith fumbled one of the pitches. It was a completely forget what it's called, man. Jeez.
Pass ball, drop strike.
Yeah, like
wild
when he
pitch.
wild pitch. There you go. That works. On a wild pitch, he got to third. Alvarez hit him home. Lindor hits a triple to score. Alvarez 4 runs in that inning. We were up 9-2. Two in that situation. We were just killing them for the majority of this game. They did hit a 3-run homer with 2 outs, which I was not appreciative of, to make it 10-5, and then a Mookie Betts solo shot to start the top of the 5th that gave him a 10-6 run. They looked like they could come back, and I was terrified at first, which was right near the beginning of this podcast, and the Mets would hold on to win 12-6, so give them their flowers, I guess, in that one. I think the Dodgers still win in 6. They're heading back home for Game 6. They didn't have to use too much of the bullpen in this game. I think that they're going to get it done. Unfortunate for my Mets, as I think our season ends here, but I'll kick it to you for your Yankees. They're playing right now. They're up 3-2 over the Guardians. Who do you think comes out in this one, and what do you think the final series stat line is?
I'm very nervous about this game. I was expecting us to have a little more of the lead when we go to the bullpen, because I'm pretty sure Gil's day is done. 4 innings, 2 runs. I couldn't ask more. I am more so frustrated with the offense. We've had 2 home runs, and that's where all of our runs are come from. I think we have 3 total hits. 4 hits. A single by Torres, and then a home run by Soto, and then a home run by Wells, and a bloop single by Rizzo. We have the first couple games. What we were able to do is we were able to get guys on base. We didn't have the power hitting the home runs until obviously last game, where we had the Judge and Stanton back to back. But we were getting more guys on base, playing a little more like small ball, single walk, and getting runners around and being able to get. But it feels like in this game, everyone's just swinging for the fences, which is frustrating. That's not how you beat Cleveland. You have to be able to manufacture some runs against a very good bullpen. Yep, Tim Hill is in. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that decision. Yeah. Especially since we still have to play tomorrow. It's not like we're up 3-0 and we're just trying to get the win to move on to the World Series. We're going to be using through our bullpen. Honestly, I wouldn't have hated like a Marcus Stroman, throw him in to eat up some innings, but I guess they're just going to trust that their bullpen's going to get them through it. I just don't, because I guess they're going to probably have to use all their top guys in 3 games in a row, because when you have 3 wins, like I don't want us to throw a game when we're up 3-1 tomorrow. Like I want us to pitch our big bullpen guys tomorrow. I understand we're going to have a Rodon start, so hopefully he can go 6 or 7 and save our bullpen. I mean, like he did in Game 1, and I expect that because yay, Carlos Rodon. I like him a lot. I understand he wasn't great against the Royals, but for the most part, he, other than a really bad stretch he had in the middle of the year, has been a very, very good pitcher. And he has a lot of emotion. I think he's going to be ready, hyped up, especially if we're up 3-1. He's going to have all the momentum to just shove. And I think we do come away with this game, and I think a Rodon shove in Game 5, and I think the Yankees do win this. But I am very nervous about this game. We are up 3-2 with the the Soto home run and the Wells home run. But the Indians have kept it in by being able to put some hits together, sack fly, moving runners over. They got a stolen base, stuff like that. So they played a little more of that small ball type. Even their double was just like right over Rizzo's head that went down the line. So I guess hopefully we can just hold off, maybe win this game 5-3. If we just I think if we can just get a couple more runs. So it looks like David Fry, caught by Soto, nice catch. If we can get a couple more insurance runs, I mean, the bullpen for the most part has been looking really good. Last night, not so much, with Weaver allowing that home run with 2 outs, which is frustrating. And then Clay Holmes, as much as I love him, he is about as clutch as this pen right here. He is the least clutch player I've ever met in my life. When there's no pressure on him, he is like Mariano Rivera. As soon as there's an ounce of pressure on him, he is like, I don't even know how to describe it. He's like Aroldis Chapman without. He's like Aroldis Chapman when he doesn't have control of his fastball.
Oh,
yeah.
He's like the worst pitcher ever. Aroldis Chapman's Aroldis Chapman's control.
Yeah, he's like Patrick Corbin on the Nationals.
Oh, stop talking, dude. Jeez.
Exactly.
Jeez. We're gonna talk trash.
It's disgusting how bad he is when anytime there's an ounce of pressure on him, which. I think Boone has managed a pretty good series, but why are you bringing Clay Holmes in when it's a 5-5 game? Maybe I don't know. We might not have had any more relievers left. Honestly, I know we were running thin. Honestly, I would have thrown in Stroman going into the extras, try and get a couple innings eating out of him. Like we have him and we haven't used him once. I understand he's not been great as of late, but try and get him to eat some innings so we don't have to tax the bullpen as much. That's I guess the one gripe I've had with not Bean. Boone, I thought he's managed pretty well so far these playoffs, but I'd like to see more Stroman and less overall bullpen. But I still think I'm gonna hold out. I said the Yankees 1-5 since the series started. I said the Guardians were gonna win either 3 or 4. They did win Game 3. So yeah, I'm gonna go. If history repeats itself, 2022 they had a walk-off win. The Guardians had a walk-off win in Game 3. We won the rest of the games to win the series. In 2009, the Yankees lost a walk-off game in Game 3, and they won the World Series. So, it's if history repeats themselves, it's looking good for the Yankees. I think that's strikeout to end the inning. No, it's 3-2 count on Jose Ramirez, who has not looked good so far this series. So hopefully Tim Hill can end the 5th right here with us still up 3-2. He has been pretty good so far. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for watching another episode. I think that's going to be it for this one. I appreciate you guys so much for liking and following us through this journey. Obviously, 17 episodes in. We're going to have 18 for you next week. It's been a fun ride. It's been a long ride at this point, but of course, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep grinding. Of course, we want to keep this channel growing. So thank you guys so much for watching. Alex, thank you again for doing this.
Please like and subscribe.
Yes, please like and subscribe to the video. Thank you guys again so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. We'll see you guys next time on the Sports Lab Podcast.